when I went to Uruguay, I knew something about Uruguayan culture because my family is Uruguayan, but I didn't realise, the extent of what would happen. I lived in a shanty town, and in terms of gender and sexuality, my positionality as an unmarried woman living alone in a shanty town, even though I lived with a family, but I wasn't there with a husband or a partner, meant something, and it meant that I was available, and that I most likely wanted to have a Uruguayan husband, and then there was the expectation that then I would take that Uruguayan husband to Australia, and so I became embroiled in this awful situation where men were propositioning me, well, but you're single and you're here, and a good Uruguayan woman wouldn't be living in a shanty town alone. So obviously there was something about my situation that meant that I was looking. I was there alone, which meant that I was looking for a husband. And that became incredibly problematic, and it impacted on my relationships with women. And at the beginning of my fieldwork there, I didn't have access to public spaces straight away. So I would hang around the streets and go to the local corner store and hang out under the trees in the sun, and try and interact with people. And then I noticed very quickly that men frequented those spaces and women didn't. They were always in the home. And so I started my fieldwork trying to, get access to people, and the only people I could get access to were men. So I became the enemy of the women as well. And I managed to rectify that problem, to think about the complexities of social relationships in the field, and that I think a lot of anthropologists are taught about unequal power relationships in the field, but I don't know if students are really taught about the other complexities. So sure, obviously we enter the field, and to some degree, there are power relationships, and often we walk out of the field and we write a thesis or make our careers from telling other people's stories. So I mean that has enormous implications. But I think that people aren't really prepared for the other complexities, and the fact that, like you said before, we enter the field and we're like children. And what happens when you're a child? You look to other people to tell you how to be, how to act, and that also puts a lot of power in those people. So they actually have a lot of power in that situation, just like a parent has a lot of power over a child. And so I think that it's quite simplistic to tell students, well, we have a neo-colonial history, and you have to be very careful that, not to reproduce this, and so be very mindful of having power over your informants. I think that's quite simplistic. And so I would actually want students to think about the other sorts of complex ways that that people interact in the field, and what that can mean for them, because it can be incredibly hard to be in that position of child, and it can be incredibly hard to know that you're being manipulated and not really know how to deal with that. And they're the sorts of things I don't think students are really prepared for.